Why, hello there everyone. I'm Laxow, aka the Kumo Sensei. Minasan, ohayou gozaimasu. And today's the day we're pulling one of our Neoholothele Incei Olive EGGSACs. And I did breed 2 females, and one EGGSAC I did pull off camera, and the reason why was because I was busy that day and I didn't have time to record. But yes, I did pull one EGGSAC early. It was a smaller EGGSAC, and this one here, which is the second female and the second EGGSAC, this one is actually a larger EGGSAC. So I was lucky, and let's enjoy this, shall we? Now when it comes to the Neoholothele Incei, their EGGSACs are usually webbed not too thick in terms of the webbing, so I had to be super cautious to not actually pinch the eggs while I'm grabbing the EGGSAC. And don't worry guys, it looks like I'm being quite aggressive, but I promise you everything's all good. I'm experienced with this, and I'm used to pulling EGGSACs at this point, so relax a bit and don't freak out. And I'm surprised that the mother didn't really put up a fight. She just kind of left the EGGSAC there, which made my job easier, so I'm not really complaining. But however, there is a bit of a problem, which is when I open the EGGSAC, while there's some first instar within this EGGSAC, there's also some eggs that are clumped together, which they're stuck, so I'm going to have to actually detach these eggs from one another. And some of you may be wondering what causes this. Some people say it's humidity, others say it's this and that. In my experience, when the female is laying the eggs, when she's creating her EGGSAC, sometimes the fluid that she produces when laying the eggs, sometimes it can cause the eggs to stick together, which is what you're seeing here. And now I kind of had to detach all of these by myself. And this really isn't a big issue if you have really soft hands or if you're really steady. And I'll go more into depth about this once I actually separate those stuck eggs. But as for now, I'm opening the EGGSAC, trying to get a good look on these eggs, and most of them are pretty much good. There are some infertile eggs, and there are some bad eggs that are stuck and clumped together as stated earlier, and I will show you guys how to separate them once I put these eggs in the incubator, and then you'll see the eggs that are clumped together that are stuck. And don't worry guys, I'm going to show you how to separate these stuck eggs to separate them apart, so that way it doesn't cause a problem. Some people just leave them, I personally don't. I think that if eggs are stuck together, especially in big clumps, you really want to separate them. Now, if it's just 2 eggs that are stuck together, sometimes they can be a problem. Sometimes it's better to just leave it alone. It really depends, but I still try to separate them nonetheless because I want my eggs to be healthy and to be individual and not be clumped together and stuck, because then it can cause problems where they're molting into first instar. But overall, the EGGSAC looks pretty good. While there are some infertile eggs in this EGGSAC, the majority of them are already eggs with legs, and as a matter of fact, when opening this EGGSAC, some of these eggs with legs were transitioning into first instar already, and you can see one that was crawling around earlier. So this EGGSAC is pretty good overall. Some of these eggs with legs are stuck, but I'll separate them. So if you want to learn how to deal with situations with stuck eggs and whatnot, and how to separate them, to save them obviously, then stick around and watch, because for new tarantula breeders, this could be something useful to you guys. But for me, I've already shown this method actually on how to save stuck eggs, so I guess we're going to do this again. And if you're wondering what video that I shown this method on, it was on the Hysterocrates Species Bonin EGGSAC video, and if you haven't seen it, I'll leave it in the top right, so please go check it out. And also support this channel as well, because I upload every single Tuesday and Friday guys. So if you want to stick around and you want to learn tarantula stuff, tarantula breeding, and if you want to see this journey of me trying to establish myself as an acknowledged tarantula breeder, then by all means hop along and join us. And some people may think that I'm being a bit rough on this EGGSAC when it comes to pouring the eggs onto this incubator, but don't worry guys, I promise you, the incubator is as soft as a pillow, so they're not being handled aggressively. It seems that way, but it's not, I promise you guys. These eggs are healthy, they're doing great, and as a matter of fact, as of editing this video, are already molted into first instar. So if you're worried about me pouring the eggs into the incubator, I promise you guys these eggs are all good. They're doing great actually. Alright, but it's time to start saving these eggs, so allow me to show you guys how to separate these stuck eggs. So to detach these eggs that are stuck together, all you have to do is essentially put a paper towel underneath the eggs, then spray down these eggs with some lukewarm water, and then let the eggs soak a little bit for about like 15 seconds or 30 seconds, and then that will cause the eggs to loosen up from one another. Then you can actually separate them apart. And some people will use Q-tips to separate them, some will use paintbrushes, some will use, tweezers and whatnot. Just use whatever you find fits and whatever works best for you. I find that you should avoid using things that can absorb the moisture, especially when you're trying to separate these eggs. So essentially all you're doing is you're adding moisture into the eggs that are stuck together to loosen them. Then you're just separating them apart, and that's essentially all you're doing. So it's not very hard. The only thing that is difficult, however, is that you need to have very soft and very steady hands, because if you apply too much pressure, you can actually squish the eggs and kill them, so you don't want to do that. So my advice is to go very slow and just do your best. And as you can see, I'm fast forwarding this because even I'm steady and cautious about my eggs, and I want to make sure all of them come out alive, which I do. So essentially, when it comes to these clumped eggs, there are some fertilized eggs, some bad eggs that are clumped together with these eggs with legs. So I'm trying to separate all of them out, and I'm doing the best I can. And don't worry guys, I will separate every single one of them, just not on camera because it will take ages if I did that. So I'm just going to show you the brief process and some basic steps of how I do it. So that way, if you guys ever run into the situation, you kind of have a general idea of what to do. And also as a reminder, as I stated earlier, you want to use lukewarm water or room temperature water. Don't use cold water or don't use hot water because then that will shock your eggs and kill them. So you don't want to do that. So room temperature water or lukewarm water is ideal. So if this is the first time for you guys doing something like this, if you're a tarantula breeder, don't be afraid, take your time. Even someone experienced as me is taking their time and being very slow at this. And yes, you gotta be super careful, even I am. I'm very slow at times as well, guys. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to be fast. Wow, osoi desu ne. Yeah, you don't need to be fast at this. You really want to take your time, so that way you can assure that you're saving every single egg that you can. Honestly, it's kind of funny how many times I've done this already and I'm still this slow, so don't worry guys if you're slow as me. We're all in this together. And yes, I've done this so many times already and I'm still this slow, so there's nothing to worry about guys. The only real technique is to getting all these eggs separated and alive. But overall though, after separating all of these stuck eggs and looking at the final count, I'd say there's around 30 to 50 total eggs that are good. And I would also like to hear your guesses as well as to the numbers of this egg sac here. I'd say 30 to 50, but hey, tell me your guess down below. And if you have any questions, then just leave it in the comments down below. And if you have any business inquiries or if you want to talk about tarantula breeding and partnerships and whatnot, contact me through my business email. It's on my about section here on this YouTube channel. And with that everyone, I guess I'll round it off around here. And with that, as stated already, I upload every single Tuesday and Friday. So please feel free to subscribe and stick around guys. And also like, comment, subscribe as well to support this video. Follow me on my IG and support me on Patreon. And with that, stay lax and Laxow out from the Kumo Sensei.